Chondro Corner where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind.
From the shadows we move, striking out bright. In every twist we find the light. Breeding the best, gotta have patience in this game. Chondro Corner, where we make our name. Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner. Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind.
What is up? What is up? What it do, y'all, man? Welcome to Chondro Corner, episode 29 with your boy here, bro. Now I'm saying we got a banger for y'all again this week. Your boy CJ from Chondro Barracks, man. Hey, this gonna be a dope ass episode. Hey, let me go and take this down real quick. What's going on, y'all? Hey, if anything that y'all like, like the live, share it. Screenshot it, post it to Instagram, Facebook, whatever, man. We trying to, reach everybody in the community, all that good little stuff. We finna go ahead and see who in the chat, man. We finna go ahead and see who in the chat real quick. One moment. Real quick. But first, before we go to the chat list, man, let's bring out CJ, man, the man of the hour, man.
What up, bro?
What up, man? Hey, man, we're gonna do it a little different tonight, man. We're gonna go and say what's up to the chat together, you know what I'm saying? And all that good little stuff. First, we got Bosa. What's going on, Bosa? Thank you for your support, man. Then you already know this is a real troublemaker right here.
Trouble.com.
Get trouble, man. Boy Dimitri, man. What's going on?
Dimitri.
Tate Johnson, what's going on? Appreciate the support. Thank you for coming through as always. Then you already know we got my other half, Jen. What's going on? It's her Monday night off. She probably at home with the kids doing mom stuff. And we got the head honcho. What's going on, Big Mike? And then we got, Phil. Strictly business was going on, man. Hey, man, make sure y'all tap in to I forgot what it is on YouTube, but he also run the podcast on YouTube, and he have different people come on. I think last week they talked about Chondro cages, the one that's overseas, and I think in the UK. So yeah, it was like the hexagon cages. It was pretty dope. Dope show. Then we got my boy Brian Heathen Hatchery in the building. You don't know are you familiar with Brian?
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with a lot of guys then, other than like people that I communicate.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Brian, he just started keeping chondros as well. He got a good collection over there where he at.
Yeah.
Then got you. Girl, Shauna, what's going on, Shauna? Appreciate you for coming through. Thank you for your support. Got your boy Trailer Park Chondros. What's going on, bro? How you doing? Man, we got the group chat for like the new upcoming breeders. If y'all want to goddamn get in the chat, just let me know. Hit me up on Instagram and I'll put you in the chat. But yeah, it's like a new little chat for the upcoming breeders and for us to bounce off ideas from each other and stuff like that, without the pros be like, don't do this, don't do that, just a little chat. Who else we got?
There's a bunch of people in there.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people. Appreciate y'all for coming through.
Geckos, there it is.
What'd you say?
She got if you need the geckos, there you go. Not the feeders though. She's got the gecko plug there.
For sure. Okay, geckos. If y'all want to get in the gecko game, there you go. Oh yeah, there you go right there. Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all heard it from the man himself.
Let's go.
Then what's going on, Mike? What it do? What it do? All right, then. That's enough. You know what I'm saying? I think we got everybody in the chat. So what's going on, bro? What's going on? How your day been, man?
I'm good, man. Yesterday was my daughter's second birthday, so today was actually her first day on like a new daycare that we've been doing. So that wasn't bad. Picked her up. She's had a hell of a day. She enjoyed it. So she does school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So daycare on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays while I go to school and finish that. Aside from that, all the snakes are good. I can introduce myself. I'm half of the Chondro Barracks. I go by CJ. The other half of Chondro Barracks is Chewy, my cousin. He's got a lot going on. He just had the birth of his first daughter, Thea, early this month. So he's working with that. He just returned back to work. So he's the one that's behind all the like detail photographs, the ideas of the photos. I kind of put them all and display them all. He's the one behind the camera and working it all. So any questions about like the camera and the yellows, that's the too.
So do we, before we get too deep, get too far ahead, do he have a Instagram or anything?
Yeah, so he's on there. He's also on the Chondro Barracks. His personal page is Iron Song. It's on the last slide. We can show the breeder profile. We'll go over that later. He might be in the comments too. But yeah, he's on Instagram. He's just kind of laid back, low profile, enjoys the snakes, and he doesn't want to be in the limelight. Believe me, I've asked him 100 times to come on and do it. He will one day. He'll get sucked into it one day.
Got you. What's going on, Pat? But yeah, man. So you started the business with you and your cousin, basically?
Yeah. So we've been collecting for basically 5 full years now, and we were just doing it for fun, and it kind of just started with a couple BAC locality things we picked up from a said importer. Picked up 3 of them, and basically the one Neo was a yellow, came in like sopping wet, like prolapsed in the tub. The other red one came in, decent, seemed alert, and then the other sub-adult one was a tore up BAC. And so we Nido tested everything, and they all came back with Nido. So we reached out to the buyer, and they were like, send them back, blah, blah, blah. So we started out right away knowing that like Nido is the first thing that you want to do when you're collecting these things. So right off the jump, we started out with like those things, and we were like, well, we're not going to buy these again. So we did a little bit deep, digging deep into stuff to see.
Was the buyer from like Morph Market, or was like something like
they have a website. I don't want to just name drop. I don't know if they're
I got you
relative to your platform, but they made right. They refunded, said basically ship the snakes back. We just never worked with them again. They still are actively on Morph Market. The Nido swabbing stuff is completely up to, if you want to do it. If you don't, your collection. I don't.
Right.
So we were just glad he was up front, willing to take the money back. And so that's how we started off, sending shit back. Came around the corner, started buying from a couple other people, and basically we did the same thing as you did. We just started buying Neos. Slowly started with Neos.
Yeah. So what was like y'all looking to get into from the rip?
Well, from the beginning, Chewy's always been he's always been into the yellows. So he right off the bat started with a red Neo from Socrates that was from the Rogue times Rainbow.
It's good choice.
So we started off with that, and then I picked up a blue line female from Brennan Nowlin with some crazy Lucy blood on both sides, the whole 9 yards. Basically as good a blue line pedigree as you can get. And then we picked up one from Garrick as well that was like a locality cross. The Blue Moon BAC pairing. And then those were like the 3 that we started out with. Basically, those kind of grew up together. And amongst the days, we picked up like 4 or 5 individuals from, like, we picked up a female that just produced a clutch for us from Lupe early on, like a year and a half, 2 years old. So it was just slow picking. Like, we didn't just grab whatever we seen, you know. A lot of the time, stuff that ends up for sale seems to be males for whatever reason.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Before we get to a head, what you feel about, like, what if they bring shed testing back for male and females in the chondro world?
Oh, that would be fantastic. I know they were talking about it, saying that they wanted to, and they could basically do it if there's a set amount of transitions. But I just don't know if, you know, people are willing to. I don't know how much it's going to cost. The first few years they had it, it was awesome. That's what we took advantage of it. You know, we bought a female sexed from John Lucky. We bought a female sexed from Brennan Allen. And then there was another one that we picked up that was sexed basically via shed. So we took advantage of it. I don't know that it was as consistent as it maybe got too difficult. I'm not really sure what happened.
No, I think it cost too much during that time or whatever. And then through the COVID, they just shut it down because, you know, it just costed too much.
Yeah, I think that was game changing. People could sex their stuff in the first 2 months of their clutch. They already know what needs to be held back.
Yeah. Do you think like more males would be on morph market if they brought back the shed testing?
It would just be more specific to a male. If obviously people would always sell males, but if you don't have like a male arsenal, you could find yourself being in trouble. I know everyone's looking for females, but you got to have like a really stacked male collection to be able to, I feel like, build a super foundation to build off of.
Mm-hmm.
The females are, they're not like just a part of the puzzle, but they, you know, the males are the ones that you're going to try to move to 1, 2 females next season. You know, the females are going to go this year off next year, or maybe if they bounce back, you go back to back, whatever. So it just really depends on how lethal you want to go. I personally feel like people sleep on males, but if the right male is available, it'll go quick. Like what's his, Josh Hensley, I think, or Hensley just posted one on Morph Market last week, a nice male from John Leckie, and it went in a day. It was very nice, grade A lineage. So somebody seen it and said that I want that animal, and either it doesn't matter if it's male or not, you know, that male will do wonders for him.
Yeah, because you can plug and play with that male anywhere, you know. If
it's pretty difficult to sex them if you don't know what you're doing, unless you're probing them. You know, I know people can probe them pretty young, but how young? You got to wait at least a year, probably close to a year to probe them.
I just look for the sheds, like maybe at like 18 months.
Yeah. See, that we probed ours right at like 15 months, and they're all over 200 grams. So we probed 5 of them, got lucky, 4 females. But the shed sexing can be difficult. The plugs could just be stuck in there and come out with a poop a couple days later. Some people say I wouldn't use a shed as like your 100% confidant. What's up, Chuck, man? How are you, bud?
Good. Yeah. But yeah, man. So bring me to, like, you know, how do y'all start y'all pairing? And what's the ideal look that y'all look for?
So the first year, our first pairing we did last year, we kind of just were just kind of seeing how the placement and everything works. So we didn't really, we kind of cycled her, but not like a full season preparation of cycle how we do now. So she just basically fed really heavy, paired her at the beginning of September, like when it starts to cool down here in Illinois. Paired her up. They started the lock within the first few days. tons of locks within the first 20 to 30 days. She ovulated within 50 days of the first pairing. So kind of timed it right. Everything went good. She went all the way up to the prelay, started to look for her shed spot or her lay spot. And she just never got comfortable. I think what my first mistake was giving back the perch throughout the day to let her perch instead of forcing her to lay herself on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was where I went wrong. She would just seek heat throughout the day all day and just never perch. So she went down, ended up laying 5 or 6 eggs, and then bailed from where she was at. So I went down and pulled the eggs and could tell something was up because she bailed right away. She ended up being egg bound. So she laid 6 eggs, 5 good, 1 slug, 10 good fertile eggs inside her stomach. So those were a complete loss. The female was a complete loss as well. The 5 eggs went the distance, hatched out. Like I said, we just probed them. They're well over a year now. So we got a 1-4 out of that. The 1 male is available on Morph Market auction at Gecko Barracks Morph Market page if you're interested in a nice yearling male.
Right now. Yeah, I think I got like maybe 61 hours left on that auction. I've been looking at. I was like, oh man.
That was last year. So this year we paired the Bart Allman female and then the Blue Line Brennan Allen female. We used the Buddy Buscemi Calico line male for the Bart Allman female, which is Versace blood. And then we used Sozin, which is produced by Sundown Reptiles and David Newman, which is a nice blue line animal with some melanism. And basically those girls followed suit right on top of each other, ovulated together, basically shed together, and all laid their eggs on the day after each other. So we had 2 clutches hatch right on top of each other.
Got you. So like what y'all was looking for the pair though, like the phenotype, how did y'all want it to look?
So that is probably the hardest thing to achieve in the Chondro games. It's all, you go up to the gumball machine and you put your 25 cents in, and then you spin the dial, and then and you hope you get what comes down. But no, so specifically for like the blue line pairing, the blue line times blue line with the melanism, we're just looking for, does the male carry enough dominance to throw melanism with blue line? Does he pass it on with BX? Does he pass it on with, yellow stuff? So we're just kind of testing the waters to see what male works with what. These babies came out really dark. We only ended up with 5 of them. Dimitri's somehow finagled his way into getting the bulb mold. But those kids will all probably stick around. The Calico times Bart Allman female, which is Versace blood, that one we were, we were just kind of seeing if we could get some extreme animals, and then just seeing if anybody was red dominant there. And luckily we got 10, or we got 9, or what do we get? We got too many already. We got 8 reds and 1 yellow. So luckily they both throw yellows. So that's a huge winner for Chewy's projects. And we achieved it with 2 animals at the same time. So that'll work for us going forward with both animals. The yellows spoke Chewy's hold back. And then I picked out 2 real nice maroon ones. And then basically everything else, once they're feeding, they'll be fair game. A couple have been spoken for already, but we're not interested in like taking money or anything like that. So the ones that know that they're available to them, they know what's going on, but we'll be public with them here in the months coming. But as for now, we're pretty much just, hanging out, getting stuff going, and trying to be as laid back as possible.
Gotcha. So
we don't know what we're gonna get with them.
Right. Yeah. So walk us through the initial breeding process. Like, how do you introduce your male to your female? cycling, food cycling, all that stuff?
So pretty hard on like the food cycling and stuff like that. So we'll even go into prepping these females a year in advance, dropping their nighttime temps when we know they're going to be paired.
And what's
some
those?
foods. So without like pairing temperatures, usually we're like daytime is 85 to 86 on the perch. All of our females, except for a few, are in 3x2s, so they bump down pretty good, 78 during the day on the cool side. But nighttime temps, we'll let them go down without breeding cycling. We'll go down 76, 77 for sure. I think they can use that cooler temperature. Sometimes it'll even go a little cooler because it gets down to 68, 70 down in the gecko room at night. During breeding cycling, we'll bump them down a little more, down to like 74, 73, 72 if we really have to push down. I don't know if that extra degree is really going to make the critical push. You just never know. The radiant in the cage is variable, so they do use the cage if you provide it. It's like we'll have said, if you give them a certain temperature, however big the cage is, they're going to use it where they want. As for that, we're pretty much same with the males. Like we'll bump the males down to 77 at night, 76 at night. Prepping the females a year in advance, we'll hit them real hard with food. We try to pair stuff at the end of the season, like the fall, like September into the fall. But some of these animals might be spring breeders, so watching the animals, seeing the condition. Like we have a pair going now that she just started swelling up with follicles, and she was off a shed cycle. So we're trying to plug and play off the rates. So she's 80 days past her shed cycle, and she's never went past 90 days shedding. So hopefully the pushback is something to sign. The male wants nothing to do with her. She's still eating. The temperature thing, it just depends on, you keep ambient. Do you keep your room cold? Do you keep your room at 80 degrees all night? It's so different from what I do in Illinois compared to people in Texas, or it's just hard to put that variable of temperature on each person's cage and say this is the true problem.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how do you introduce your male to your females?
So pretty, just give them a little spray to make sure they're not on food cue. And I always introduce the male in the morning time or daytime when they're all head tucked. I'll just throw the perch in there, and I set up. Dimitri busts my balls about it all the time, but I don't know anybody why they wouldn't use these. But I use these they're called Yi cameras, and they have night vision on there, and it's 1080. You can put a micro SD in there, and you can record stuff. So you go to sleep, it'll clip motions. So you can wake up and you can go back through your file. It can see. So people that are saying, "Oh, I didn't see any locks," like this pairing has locked 3 to 7 minutes 4 or 5 times, and then they're just gone. And I only know that based off watching the cameras. So
I'm all about it, man. I'm all about, putting a little camera in the enclosure and seeing what they do, because you sleep, and they move around,
right. They're going to bed right when they're active.
Right. Hey, that's something, Chuck, I know Chuck, he in agreement with that, putting the camera in there.
Yeah. I think, you just know what you know. I take detailed notes. I'm very serious about it. So it's not like I'm writing every detailed notes. The first few pairings I am, though. So when I go back to my data cards, I can say, hey, this was this was this female did this. You got to keep data logs. You got to know what your stuff's doing. It's just like maintenance to a car. You got to keep a log of everything that's going on. Same thing with life. You keep detailed notes, stuff that's important. And the males, like everybody says, I think if the male knows what he's supposed to do, the first few days are going to be satisfactory for the male and us. It just depends on whether she's given the right cues. That comes back to what we were talking backstage about. You got to have an arsenal of badass males. Not only badass males that maybe are phenotypically driven, but males are phenotypically, looking, but males that know how to breed and pass down traits. Because you can have all the best looking females, but you can have males that are just 3, 4, 5 with a dream, and they just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
right.
it's not guaranteed. You're gonna have your ups, downs. That is one thing we've been lucky is some of our males seem to be of age and showing the dominance of wanting to breed. So if you don't have a male that's not going to breed, you're not getting any eggs.
And what age do you start breeding your males and females?
So for the males, we haven't had anything that's gone like under, oh geez, what would be the youngest? The youngest, so he was 29. So 6 is the youngest for male, and then females would be 5+. So I know people have had there's the other half of Chondro Barracks, Matthew right there, Chewy.
Appreciate that.
So
the super chat, man.
The males can breed basically as young as they're willing to show up. I think females can go after 4 and they show the right signs. A well-conditioned female at 4 showing developing follicles, I would say pair under the right circumstances all day. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, the cameras are definitely ideal. I mean, especially if you're serious about it,
Yeah. And especially like in the egg box too, in the lay box, all of that.
Yep. Basically seen all that. We've used all that, and they're called, the ones we use are called Yi cameras, YI, and you can buy like a 6-pack for $80, but they have 1080 night vision. It's pretty good.
Gotcha.
Legitimately good.
Oh, can you get off of Amazon?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And how much like they typically?
It just depends. You can get like a 6-pack for like $75 sometimes.
Oh. Yeah, very, very
not crazy priced at all.
They good. Okay.
They're worth it. And you can get them and you download this app. You can have 6 cameras on one app.
Oh yeah, I definitely got to look into that.
All free. You don't have to pay for it.
Nice. Hey, learning something new, y'all. Y'all go ahead and get those cameras, man.
Well, you'll have plenty of time. You'll be using those cameras for other shit by the time your females are doing business, aren't you saying? You better start shopping. You better call Dimitri. see if he'll take care of you.
Got you. But yeah, we're gonna go to laying. Like, how do you prepare your female to lay?
So the first female was a complete nightmare. She just never settled. I did the lay box. I did a cork. She decided to go under the cork. Bailed on it pretty early. These 2 females behind me here, we basically pulled perches within a week of when you think they're going to lay, all water bowls, blah, 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 and forced them to go in their lay boxes full of mulch or moss. So I buy their Rubbermaid Tupperware containers, and they have a gray lid and a clear bottom, and then I just drill like a 2.5, 3-inch hole through the middle, and I fill it with moss, dry moss.
Do you have it around you right now? Have a sample of it?
Yeah, let me grab it real quick.
Yeah. My bad, just so people can see, hey, you can show us better than you can tell us. What's going on, chat? I hope y'all night going good, man. I hope y'all staying safe, staying warm, or staying cool out there.
So this is like, you can see how big it is.
Yeah.
And then basically cut the hole out like this. And then they just go in there and they lay and you can see through everything. And basically you can look and see, and they'll tell you, like, if once you see a female coil once, you'll kind of know what to look for when they're on the eggs. Gotcha. So you come down every morning or night and you'll basically just kind of peek in this and say, oh, hey, is she laid? That's what I did every morning. I think for the blue line clutch, I think that I pulled the eggs a little too early. Like she had just got done laying them because I had come down at 3 o'clock in the morning and she hadn't laid them yet. But I came down at like 6, little after 6, and she was laying on eggs, and I was all, giddy too. So I pulled them all. And I think after discussion with some people in Chewy, I think we just kind of come to the conclusion that I put the eggs in the incubator a little bit too early, not fully calcified or shelled.
Yeah.
And, the ones you thought were going to crash made it. The ones that looked great, you came down the next day and they're like, holy shit, they're underwater, and you got to pull them. So we had one egg that started to go bad pretty early on like day 12. And I Chewy did a bunch of research. We get on the forums. Anybody who has any issues, you go on the Facebook forums, the two green tree python groups, and you can go up to the search bar. And if you're having any types of issues, just type in half of the sentence, whatever you're looking, and it'll just pull up threads of, hundreds of conversations, whatever.
Yeah.
So we came across using the Elmer's glue and the foot powder. So I tried that on one egg. That shit went bad relatively quick, started to stink. You could tell that there was aroma from it. So on the gecko side of things, I've just stuck a half a sheet of paper towel or toilet paper right on the egg, right where it's going bad. And just hopefully that piece of paper just shells over and eats the layer and just takes care of it. So that I did that with a little bit of glue over the area that was going bad. That thing started to mold about day 21. It molded about 25% of the egg of where it was significantly bad area. That egg ended up hatching out. I call it the bold mold. It's one of the nicer ones from the clutch, darkness wise, and that's the one that I'll be trading off to Dimitri. So
I'll do it.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The egg I thought was going to be good is the one that crashed and didn't make it.
Got you. So from your experience, like how long should you leave the eggs out to fully calcify? Did I say that right? Calcify.
Man, no, I don't know, because I would say at least probably like 4 to 6 hours is probably like a safe gamble. I don't know how often people have pulled them. These eggs were still yellow, so they were fresh. Like
gotcha.
They looked almost like, holy crap, are these all slugs or all unfertile? I gave them the candle and they all had good veins. So I threw them in there, and like 6-7 days later, they started to really plump up and look nice and white. So I think I just pulled them a couple hours too early, and the switch over from the wet ate up all the moisture in the incubator box and basically crashed the eggs.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's what we came to the conclusion of.
So how do you get your females back on food after they lay?
So the first thing is obviously you pull the females, you soak them, you deep clean the cage, obviously with the eggs and all that stuff. Generally, you hope the female perches right back up and goes right under the heat, wherever, maybe your ambient, whatever it is. I think the sooner the better. I wouldn't go and shove a meal down her the first day she's off of eggs. I'd let her try to show you that she's ready back up on that perch and stuff, but the sooner is better. For us, we waited, I think it was a little bit after a week, maybe 10-day mark, and basically offered a small meal. Like I offer large mice, and then I'll go weaned rat, and then I'll go weaned rat, large mice, back and forth. When they're breeding cycling, I'll hit them with all weaned rats. The weaned rats aren't like as big as what you would think. They're basically a little more muscular and like nutrition than large mice. I think it's good to have the variety of the between. I'll feed either. I buy what's available. I'm not going to beat you up if you feed rats.
Where do you get your rodents from?
Lane Labs. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, they got a pretty good source.
Yeah, I have no idea where they source their stuff from. There's been some drama on Facebook about people saying stuff is coming from overseas, or I don't know. The snakes eat them. They're still alive. The packaging comes in. The rodents come in clean. That's my main concern. If the rodents don't look clean and they're covered in piss or whatever it is, I'm throwing them away. I haven't had any complaints.
Exactly. So you get yours from you say Lane Bryant's?
Lane Labs, yep.
Okay.
But generally I try to get them back on food as that's week to 2 week. I don't know how quick people push their stuff. After that, I go about every 2 weeks for the first month, and then I'll slowly bump them back to once a month. But I will give them an extra few meals at bouncing back. Definitely, they can take it as long as you're not, filling them up full of meals and they're not pooping.
Got you. And how do you set up your egg boxes?
So we do some container with their egg trays over water.
Over water?
Over water. I'm in
Illinois.
To do that? And what's that?
I said, what make y'all want to do that over the water?
Well, we're in Illinois, and it gets in the summertime you can have 100% humidity, and then in the wintertime you can have literally 0% humidity. So it gets bone dry here in the wintertime, and for whatever reason, all of our clutches have seemingly come towards the winter when my heater's on. My furnace is in the snake room built out on the other side in between the office.
Yeah.
So I get the thermal, this room is thermal regulated basically from being boxed in from there. So it sucks this room dry. When I'm in shed cycle, I come down here and I spray the snakes every single morning, and it's basically bone dry by night bedtime. So I don't have a ton of rough sheds. I would say here and there, if I miss somebody, that we'll have a shed that's stuck here or there, but you give them the pre-soak and throw them in a towel, and they just basically rub it all off and you get it back on. But generally, I wouldn't say I have problems like that. I keep most of my collection in PVC cages or PVC tubs, and then we have a few plastic tubs, and I've never sprayed the plastic tubs once. I offer them a big water bowl. I'll show you what I put in the large 90-gallon tub for the males. I use this. Like a dog bowl. I go to Farm and Fleet or whatever your local farm store is. They sell these for like $3 or $4. And you buy however many you need, fill them up, wash them in your dishwasher, clean them, and go back. When you start to keep a lot of them, you start to figure out routines that work, and you want to be as conditionally clean as practice.
Yeah.
Just with everything.
I keep mine. Well, I keep my water in glass bowls.
Yeah.
Like glass bowls, because with the glass, I can see the film on top of the water. If the water need to be changed, even though I change, every 2-3 days.
Yeah, I'm pretty good about the water change too, and I have so I bring just like literally this is what I buy. Is these 5-gallon jugs.
Yep. Yeah.
And I pour them into pitchers, and then I have some of them I'll pour the pitchers from the cold one. And if you have a snake that will not drink water, if you pour ice cold water in their water every single morning, I guarantee you they'll come down there and take a nice cold drink. Yep. People that have problems with snakes not drink them.
Does anyone put copper in the Chondros water? Nope. I never heard about that.
I don't do that, but I've heard of people doing that.
So it's this thing that you can get from Amazon, and that's what I use for my little 5-gallon. What is it? 5-gallon jugs or whatever.
You press a button and it comes out.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
That, but dude, I like to just spill it all over and carry it on.
Well, I only got a few. Well, I got the ball pythons too, and all that stuff. The other animals. So it's only like I'm up to like 25. I was up to like 35, 40 at one point, and I just you know, just downsized a lot and stuff. So I think
The
I'm like,
chondros or
no. So I have like maybe about 22 ball pythons, one burn, and then the rest is chondros. So I think I'm up to like maybe 25, 30 animals, somewhere around there.
yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, probably close to 20,
20 chondros.
just a yearling or adults.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah, it goes quick. Probably more than that, honestly.
Mhm.
We have more than that. You
Yeah.
start to lose track of numbers that we don't really count, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to have some custom racks built for these 90-gallon tubs from Chris at Sea Serpents. The tubs are fantastic, man, and I love them. But right now, how I have them, they're stacked, and the
Yeah.
stacking is a pain in the ass. So my method behind this is I'm going to keep the males in these tubs in this rack. The males are going to be working in the cages. They're not always going to be in this tub. The tub's
Yeah.
going to be clean as possible. When they're not in there, I don't have to run a radiant heat pan on an empty cage, waste a herp stat.
Yeah.
So ideally, I can get those in there so I can slide them out, clean them, because I'm on top of them. If they poop, it just drives me nuts. I got to get it the day of. If it's on the bottom, I got to stack them all, and then by the time I get to him to the top, the next guy on the bottom just shit the night after, and it's like a cycle. So I want to have that constant relative where I know where I'm going. It'll save me 6-7 minutes each cleaning, and week after week and day after day. That's a lot of time that I want to have dedicated to putting with my daughter and my family and whoever else needs it. So there are ways to do things. The cages are nice. I haven't bred anything in the tubs. We threw a pair together. I tried a Biak pairing, and the male is just scared as a doornail.
Well, if you're looking for enclosures, man, this person to talk to, man. Harlan Reptiles, man.
Yeah, well, you made Mark stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff looks cool. Chewy loves Mark stuff, so we've definitely been eyeballing stuff, and we like the look. Maybe we'll be in talks.
Yeah, I got some enclosures I got to go pick up from him. Hopefully next month. Hopefully, if I get time off, military give me the time off, I can go ahead and go pick them up. All that good stuff. But yeah, not Mark, but Jordan have some great enclosures, and he can make custom enclosures if need be. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. My bad. So what kind of incubator do you use?
We used 24-inch Sea Serpents boxes, hot boxes.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 of them. I think this October we're gonna pick up a 36-inch from Chris at Sea Serpents again. Like I said, our humidity here is so up down. I'm sure I'll have to change things when I get a clutch in the middle of the summer and my air conditioner's on. Maybe not. I haven't experienced that. But as far as just the incubators, we run a wet box. So some people don't know what a wet box means. In regards to that, is basically the bottom chamber will put a few water bottles closed, and we'll put 2 6-quart tubs on the bottom, and I fill it all the way up with water. I will put 4 to 6 water bottles all around the sim container on the second shelf, just barely below the fan. And after a day or two, all that water in those tubs below gives you your humidified chamber. But it becomes so humidified at 99 all the time that you're going to have condensation and water dripping down the sides and pulling up in the bottom. That's why people will call it a wet box. Now, people will use those chambers, instead of the water being filled in the open tub, that it'll just all be closed water bottles. They'll still achieve that high humidity they're looking for. It just won't be condensation necessarily dripping on all the walls and all the mirrors. That would be considered the dry incubator or a dry chamber.
I got to get me a good incubator because you know, the sea serpents seem like it's a very popular incubator. I might just have to go with because my first clutch, man, I hatched that thing in the Amazon incubator, that little black Amazon.
Yeah, bro. There's tons of ways you can do it. I mean, I don't necessarily think chondros are probably as easy as ball pythons to hatch in regards to like stability and shit like that. But Chris has been around for a while. He knows what he's doing. He makes stand-up shit. There's a lot of guys in the community now that are making good stuff. For me, when it comes to something like that, I'm going with something that works and what something works for me. You know, I was recommended some of this stuff from Socrates early on. Socrates has hatched probably hundreds of babies now out of hot boxes by Chris at Sea Serpent. So if my justification doesn't help, Socrates could help you in that. There's tons of good incubators out there, but just go with what you know works well. I mean, a little bit of trial and error. You can have the best incubator built in the world, and you know something could go faulty. You always got to be prepared. Like that was one of the things at our recent show at Tinley when we talked to Chris and picked up some new stuff. I said, hey, I need some new fans for these incubators just in case they go out. I want to be able to have them in case I get a text that my incubator's crashing. And he basically was very upfront. He was like, yeah, here's they are, blah, blah, blah. And gave me your address and he shipped them to me. Didn't even charge me nothing. So I got a couple fans just sitting on the shelf in case shit hits the fan.
Yeah, literally. Literally. So you don't think about going with any other incubator than Sea Serpents?
I wouldn't. If there was a reason I had to, I would. I like it. I'm going to try a bigger size. I want a little bit of more elbow room. Meat and grease. I don't want to be tight quarters like this over water. So who knows? We had 2 clutches cooking right on top of each other. We could have 3 at some point, maybe even more. So we have to definitely be prepared. I don't think you can fit more than 1 clutch in a 24-inch hot box.
So what's your temperatures inside the incubator?
So we shoot for, I put the therm on 87.3, and I'll put the probe right basically level with the sim container, like little bit behind it, and then pinched up like this. So the probe of the thermostat is sitting level with the water. So it's picking up the same temperature that the water in the sim container would be at, but it's on the outside, obviously. But we shoot for 87.3 the first 40 days, and then I back it down to 86.5. Some people don't. Some people do. That's what we're going to do. That's what works for us. I like the little bit of variant because these things do produce heat as they get closer to the hatch time. If you have a sim container, they're pretty, legit on like keeping the box sealed. We put a water bottle on top of the sim container just to keep the extra pressure on the lid. And we use holes. So I do open holes a little bit throughout the incubation. And, like this year I opened more holes on the blue line clutch because I felt like the eggs were sucking in way more humidity and they needed to have that 93 airflow from the wet box coming and mixing in with that 99. So I think that helped and saved a couple of the eggs. So you got to play it by ear and kind of look and know what's going on. And you can do all the right things, man, and it just goes the complete wrong way. I wouldn't stress about a lot of it. I would do what you can do and try to do your best. If not, it's just, I wouldn't beat yourself up over it.
Literally, man. Hey, you did the best you can. Hey, next time you just gotta do better, or just learn from your mistakes.
Yep.
Yeah. So bring us to hatching day. Do you cut or just let them pip out?
So the first clutch, they all started hatching on day 52. So excuse me, 4 of them started to hatch on day 52. One of them pushed its way out to like day 54, all the same stuff. So on day like 53, I just cut it because I wanted to see if it was alive and I wanted to see what it felt like to kind of cut the egg. I've never done that. Chondros were the first snakes that I've owned and bred. I had a bunch of like nothing legitimate. I had like gardener snakes and buckets and shit back in the day, but I never had anything legit. So people are like, well, you're just going to breed chondros right away. And I said, well, yeah, why not? You know, I always thought all these snakes had that terrible musk and they would spray on you. And, you know, once we locked into these and they're like, dude, if you keep them clean, they're fairly clean. I know the males will drop doo-doo all the time, but that male's moving and that's a good sign that he's moving and his bowels are doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, man, as far as it's just hard to say, like when they start hatching, it depends on the temperature, I guess. Day 50, 51, 52, I would say is most common for people. These last 2 clutches that hatched here in 25, one was 51 and the other one was like 52 night, and they were all the same temps. The one that was running slightly warmer the entire time hatched slightly earlier. The one that was slightly cooler a day
So
later.
you don't straight bake. You just dial it down closer to the hatching date.
Yeah, as long as the consistency is there, I think it's good. The blue line, there was a couple like, what happened? We had 11, 3 crashed during incubation, 8 made it to the last day, 5 survived. So one, I should have sent you the picture, but one basically was trying to get out of the egg, but it wrapped its umbilical between its mouth, like through its mouth like this, stuck through there, and basically drowned itself, and it was wrapped around it all the way through its mouth. The other one, full term in the egg, just you could tell when I cut it, it was alive, but it just never came out of the egg, so I knew something was going on. That one had a cleft lip. They're not cleft lip, but like shorter front. Everything was, intact. It was just a shorter front lip than the bottom. And then the third one that was dead in the egg was a nice one, basically like a brownie is what people call them, and that one was all just died in the egg. I'm not sure what happened. Just didn't get out.
Sheesh.
I cut everybody, and some of them just didn't. I could kind of tell that the eggs started they depleted rather quick once I cut them. Maybe I should have pushed them out a little bit, or made sure they were like coherent enough to be alive. But 5 of them made it out. It was a good. I would say it was a good outcome. The female's back on food. She's basically amassed her egg weight already from what she lost. So we're only 3 months out of egg deposition.
Got you. That's good. She bounced back
really well. 2 of the best feeders, both of them did.
What day do you start putting the perches inside the egg box for them to perch up?
So like I'll wait first day I'll let them all kind of like pipe, and then like I said, I incubate over water, and in the sim container there's 2 tiny micro holes on each part. I think a small enough Neo could definitely squirt through that hole. So I'm like super panicky, and I just pull that and then put wet paper towels down, and then I'll put the eggs in a deli cup or like on a deli lid, and then I'll put the perch in there. So once a few start to come out and I see that they're making their way out of the egg, I'll put it in there. Usually I put it in there when I see stuff starting to pipe.
All right, then bring us to establishing, a feeding. What was their first meal?
So the 24 clutch, all those things except for one, ate like monsters right away. I had one that was just a pain in the ass, and it wouldn't run. You could beat it up for 15 minutes and then it would flee. But this thing, it just would not eat. So it took a few geckos to get started, and I think it switched over like 3 or 4 right away. I think it just needed to learn how to swallow, and I don't know if like pinkies having 0 fur is just a move for them.
Yeah.
As far as this year's clutch, they're definitely different feeding response. Some of them just, you know, they're eaters right away. And then we have a couple that we've had to assist feed chicken gizzards just because we know, like, we're not going to wait.
Yeah.
So we're just getting a meal in it.
Just
I'll continue to hit it for 3-4 days after. On day 5, if it doesn't take that pinky, it's getting a gizzard. The consistency is the biggest thing. Chewy's got a pretty good touch at working the gizzards. So he comes over after work and takes care of that if I can't get him going with the pinkies. Everybody has eaten out of these clutches. There's maybe 2 that I would say conditioned as established, but I wouldn't call an animal like established until it's taken like 30, 40, 50 meals. Once it starts to get that tub,
you feed before? Do you feed before its first shed or after?
After, if it's always after, you're gonna have some that just will skip their first shed. So each time I've had one from each 2024 clutch, we had one hold out on shedding, skip the first shed. I just said, F it, I'm offered in a meal at 8 like a rocket. So it just skipped its first shed. Sometimes that's going to happen. I just started to offer that one meals as everybody else, and it shed on round 2. I have one here from clutch 1 that has eaten, but it skipped its first shed. We're well past the first shed. I have 2 that are walking into their second sheds already, and this one's just going opaque for the first time. So it's taken 2 pinky heads and 2 pinkies. So I have a couple that will wrap up, and as soon as they hit the ground, they just kind of like spaz out and drop it. So trying more of the raised perch method in regards to that is get them to hit the pinky and wrap up instead of them free falling and hitting the bottom of the tub and freaking out thinking they're prey. They can hang, hopefully hold that pinky, and then hopefully take it, and then you can just slide them back in. It sucks to do it that way. Whatever to get them going is whatever you got to do. That's part of the game. You can at least kind of owe them that little bit of respect since you brought them all the way into this life. You can at least work them as hard as you tried to get them, you know? So, yeah, I'll get a little bit of down. Sometimes they won't take it right away, and then, you know, I get a couple to strike and take their first meal, and that's a win. So you always got to take the wins where you can.
Right. With the Neos, do you alternate meals, like switch between chicken gizzards and mice?
No, if they'll take it right away. But for me, I'll go from, like, I started a couple on large pinkies, and I think that was my problem is I started a few on large pinkies and scared the shit out of them. They have the size to take it. I just think I should have started with day olds. So it's just a matter of, like, as soon as I can get like 4 or 5 pinkies, 6, 7 large pinkies in them, I'll take a like a small fuzzy and chop it in half and just give it the head, and then give it the opposite one the butt, and it seems to give them like a really nice boost in the nutrients, and they start to grow rapidly, and they take 3 or 4 halves of the large fuzzies, and then they go right on to them. So that's what I try to hit these guys at least every 5 days right now, the Neos.
Have you had to deal with any prolapse? Okay.
Nope.
Gotcha with that. So husbandry. Take us with husbandry. What do you keep your adults in, your sub-adults, your Neos?
The adult females, we keep them in 3x2x2s, 1/2-inch perch on the top, 3/4, sometimes an inch on the bottom. Radiant heat panels in all the cages. The males are kept in 2x2s or their tubs. Keep everybody on paper towel. I use the dog water bowls, if you want to call them that, whatever they are, the brand.
You keep everybody on paper towel, even adults?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What kind of paper towel?
they poop, just Bounty. I mean, I bought hundreds of $1,000s worth of Bounty. I wish they would sponsor me. Just from the geckos, but I start the Neos over water until they shed, and then I go right to paper towels and a little water bowl. But as far as adults, I do paper towel because they poop so much, and like I said, if I see something dirty, I'm pulling, and I just can't.
Right.
The day of, if I got something going on, I get to it as soon as I can, but paper towel has been the easiest. If you see something going on, you can't always see what everything's coming out of that poop on a, like a dark floor mat. I've heard horror stories. I try to use them. They didn't work for me. They would hold water on the bottom side of the pad. And it was a nightmare to get them in there. And then I had like one pack that had like 4 or 5 random ones that had sticky pads on them. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just done with these, and I've been paper towels since.
Gotcha. And you say you use store-bought water?
Yeah, so like Culligan, I don't know if it's basically purified water. Yeah. I give the snakes that and the geckos that. So that's what we're drinking. So I just buy it by the 5 gallon. We get like sometimes 50 gallons of water delivered every other week.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So we're finna go ahead and pull up your those snakes that you want to highlight, man. Got this beautiful slideshow. Whatever.
So that's
yeah.
That is Senji. And he was produced by Buddy Buscemi. He's a calico line. He is the sire to the second clutch, or the first clutch, excuse me. And he's the dad to the few Neos we'll have available in the foreseeable future, if you know what I mean. He comes from Fonderus times Rocket, and basically that comes from a pure original Prada line, and then the outcross Rocket is Mandingo, and Clemmy is a wild caught Jaya. And that was bred to the Barred Almond female. So we got some cool looking babies that you'll see in the slide from him.
Yeah, for sure. Next slide. That's the one.
That's Go Fast. That was produced by Garrick at House of Blue. He's
I like that.
Yeah, he's pretty cool looking. Blue Moon times IV, which is a BX, so it's a Wamena times BX. So we're gonna plug and play him into some Calico S stuff. Maybe throw some melanism stuff at him.
Yeah.
Chewy just picked up a pretty cool BX female from Pat. We just haven't haven't got to posting pictures of that one yet. So I think Chewy might wait. He might throw him at her depending on what comes out of this clutch here. If we get some cool looking shit, we're gonna try to amplify the yellow neck.
Okay.
Pass that on.
Gotcha. Next one.
That's
this thing right here is.
Yeah, man, she's a real deal. So she was produced by John Leckie. She's 2103. So basically, there's 10 or 12 from this clutch that anybody would die to have in their collection. They were the yellows were better than the reds in many regards to color, and I'd say we have one of the better ones. John's kept a bunch. Carly's got a really nice one. Mario's got a few. Dave's got a few. There's few people with them. So she's actually going to be paired up this fall. Actually, her next shed cycle, she's going to be paired up with the Rogue times Rainbow female or male from Socrates.
That's nice.
They're both red Neos, but they both come from red-yellow clutches. So there's like a 25% chance that we'll get yellow Neos, and that's what Chewy's after. So If you want some high yellow red babies and we get them, they'll be coming available from her from that. Chewy's going to keep everything yellow, so good luck.
No, you can't get that. Y'all can't get that. It's already spoken for.
Yep. So this was produced by Ryan Glenn. She's freaking badass looking. So she's got two siblings that are super high melanism. One's called Night Child, and the other one Ryan had sold. So she comes from a BIAC times a sickness sibling. So a sickness clutch mate times a BIAC. So she's a yellow neonate, and she's gonna go back with the first male Senji this fall. Actually, her next shed cycle as well. So we have two more females that are going to be coming up. Looks like we got one that's hopefully going to be turning off food sired by Go Fast, the second male, and hopefully Magic, the last girl, and this girl turn over this fall, and we can get something rolling.
Oh yeah, this is
that's
Neo.
SOL. That's Chewy's #1 pick, the only yellow we got. It's going to be a hard bargain for yellows over here. We're going to definitely try to target them. It's going to be hard work for the first year or two to get them.
But then this one got a nice. I like that.
That's the best feeder out of everybody. That one's probably got 12 large pinkies in it already, and that one is ready and available. I'm not going to ship it for several weeks or months, but it's feeding extravagantly, and it will be made available. That's 2502. So just if anybody's interested,
go ahead, hit them up. Next one, this thing,
same clutch mate, same clutch. That one will be available in future time as well. That was the one I really was going to keep as a holdback, but I decided to go with the most pattern and the most reduced pattern. This one, I love the classic, the Maniquari look with the bold, small stripes. And the pattern. That got a nice dorsal to it too.
You might be letting go a superstar.
We'll see. That's all right, man. We're not gonna be upset about it. That's a holdback though. That's 2404. That was the second holdback that I picked. The most pattern.
Definitely a looker right there. The little stripes look like,
Yeah, but it's got that little bit of that Aru mix and the diamonds. You can kind of see how they look like they're broken up like glass pixels. Yeah. And then a couple of them have the nice, real sharp Maniquari look. The Prada line.
Then we got this one. This a nice one too.
That one looks similar to 2402 or 2502. That's 2507. That one's pretty cool too. It's cool to see because that one's got more of a lighter look. And if you see, they have like that two-tone look, how they're darker up towards the dorsal and get lighter. Who knows what that means? Maybe that must be like an early on stage. These have all shed out. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I don't know. I like that. I like that kind of look.
I kind of like that look as well.
And then, this thing is insane.
Yeah, that's a headshot. That's Chewy just fooling around with his new macro lens.
This thing is insane.
We're getting those printed out, and I told him we're gonna start making little printable pieces of these, and you can just buy them and put them in your snake room or whatever. A couple bucks.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, have one right here. Right on the wall, man. That's dope.
That's War Pig, baby. That's a holdback from the blue clutch. So I call it War Pig.
Later, man.
Yeah, do you see the little W though in the middle of the eyes? It starts right with So I'm calling that one War Pig. Yeah, badass. I'm blown away by the results, man. Yeah, they all of them did. The dad's big, the female's a blue line, so you can see like where some people will be like, oh, the blue line's smaller. The male is big. The male looks almost bigger than the female. So hopefully he just produces big kids because all the kids from last year are massive as well.
Gotcha. And then it's just
that's the first clutch. Yep. So those are just a few images of like the clutch portrait and kind of just showing what messing around. And there's his that's Chewy's Instagram in the bottom right corner.
Oh yeah, okay.
Our song.
Iron Song. Y'all go ahead, hit that follow button. Go ahead, type it in.
And then we're both on the Chondro Barracks page. If you wanna if you wanna chat about the yellow stuff, that'll be Chewy's Avenue, you know, the blue line melanism stuff. You'll be talking to me, the calico stuff. We'll chat between back and forth, but right now we're pretty laid back. We're not gonna be posting stuff that we have available. We'll have a few things once the feeding trials and everybody's really like redundantly smoking their meals. We'll have stuff. If you've chatted with us and you know here or there, and you want to shoot us a message and see what we got, we're willing to talk with you.
For sure. Man, I love. Oh man, it's this one. Man, this thing is crazy.
Yeah.
This thing is sheesh. I don't know.
Yep.
Man.
Love them all, man. I once we had that yellow come out with all the reds, and then we had a couple that were like really dark ones.
Yeah.
It's cool to just see the beaming yellow.
Mhm.
It really is.
So what made you drawn to the designer side opposed to the locality?
Well, we have some locality stuff. Like we're gonna be working locality projects as well. So we're more or less kind of like targeting projects. You know, we don't want to just pair shit to pair shit because we got it. We want to kind of make sure it's with a rhythm or oriented with a goal in mind. So it just depends on. I wouldn't say we're specifically worried about designers. Right now, we have some stuff that more or less people would call designers, whatever you want them. In time, we'll have some locality stuff. Like we're building up those projects too. Okay. I think crossing out that real nice shit to this new blood is going to do amounts of good for people. I think a lot of the stuff kind of got locked in, and a lot of the potent stuff is just producing green stuff. So you got to find what's working.
Are you looking into bringing more things into your collection?
Yeah, always. We're not actively like looking, but if we see something or Chewy sees something that he wants and it's within price and mine, yeah, he'll pull the trigger.
Gotcha. Understood.
Right, for me right now, I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for anything. I'm more like laid back, just trying to see what's working for me, and then maybe go some trade avenues and work those lanes.
Got you. So I got 2 wrap-up questions for you. What's next for y'all?
So hopefully a couple pairs this year. Couple more pairs. It could be 3, could be 4, depends on how much more we want to push. But then in the next year, you know, the 2 females that produced early 25 will be ready for us next year. So it's just getting in a cycle. We're gonna rotate stuff. We got, like I said, 20 plus animals. We got 6 to 8, I think, sub adults now coming around the corner from 1.5 to 3. So we're just going to keep rotating, keep buying and keep trading and just kind of, going with the flow and just building out the room.
Okay. All right. Next wrap up question. What is the perfect chondro in your eyes? Phenotype.
Oh, geez. So right now, when I first came into the game, I would have said it was a beautiful blue snake. I like the blue stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's a specific look that I'm after within the blue. Right now, my most ideal snake. Oh, how about my favorite snake that's growing up that I know in people's collections would be Nike Girl. That's just, there's something going on with hers that's different. But right now I'm on the train with the like pixelated. I'm all for the multicolor, the calico-ass look. I want to get as multicolored snake with amounts of melanism and build a foundation that's reoccurring. I think the Chondro community has grown so much that I think there's people that are coming into this game that have way different outlooks and avenues that people don't think the stuff's going to work out, and they're going to be making some nice shit. So I think a lot of people just need to kind of dial in what works for them, and then, bounce off those people that have collections built up similar to you. Ask them questions. If they're not willing to talk with you, then move on to the next person. Don't get butthurt. It is what it is. Sometimes the people that you're willing to talk to aren't going to always want to be, talking back. So I'd say the multicolored look right now is
something like Calico Junior or the computer Chondro.
Anything multicolored. Yep.
Yeah. So I like that too. With Dimitri animals, like it always look like it's a pastel frost over his.
Yeah, especially with Mary Jane and Nike Girl, and let's see what the next one, the Brownies, calls them the Granites. So they're special. We're gonna see them special.
Yeah, add like some blue line calico stuff in there with that. I'm like, that'd be some crazy
getting
stuff.
Old mold.
Yeah. Old mold.
The bold mold.
But yeah, man. But we're finna get ready to wrap it up. I'm gonna set you backstage real quick. But before you go, let everybody know where to reach you at.
Yeah, man. You can find us on Instagram at Chondro Barracks, same as Facebook. Just want to give a shout out to everybody who joined the podcast tonight. And Ro, thanks for having us, man. Been talking about it for a few months now. And shout out to everybody who's in my corner helping me out, asking questions and giving the answers that I need. And the other half, Chondro Barracks, shout out to being a daddy. You're going to be a great father, and I'll look up to you, man. So that's all I got from you, Ro.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Y'all give it up for, give it up for CJ, man. Give it up, CJ. All right, y'all, that was episode 29 of Chondro Corner. Man, if y'all like the episode, make sure y'all like, subscribe, share this out. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get it out to a bigger audience. Let me know what I can do better or Jen can do better, and we'll try to make it try to accommodate y'all needs and wants and all that good stuff, man. But until then, you already know, man, y'all stay safe, stay cool out there. Make sure y'all family's safe. Make sure y'all, check on y'all family. Hey, if anything that y'all need, go ahead, reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? And I can, answer your questions. Or even if you need somebody to talk to, I'll be there too. You feel me? But until then, I will talk to y'all later.
Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind.
From the shadows we move, striking out bright. In every twist we find the light. Bring the best, gotta have patience in this game. Chondro Corner, where we make our name. Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner. Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine.